House of Secrets, The Burari Deaths, a documentary of how a family of 11 were found dead. In the quiet lanes of Sant Nagar, Burari, North Delhi, on the morning of 1st July 2018, 11 members of a single extended household were found dead. What followed was a police probe, forensic work, dozens of handwritten diary pages, and a long national conversation about belief, mental health, and how families make meaning together. The family and the house. The household, variously reported under the family names, Bhatia and Chundawat in press accounts, had lived for years in a 3-story home in Sant Nagar, Burari. The occupants included 3 generations, an elderly matriarch, her sons and daughters-in-law, and younger grandchildren and cousins, together numbering 11 people aged roughly between their mid-teens and late 70s. Neighbors knew them as shopkeepers and tradespeople, who ran small businesses from the ground floor and lived above. The discovery? What happened? On the morning of 1st July 2018, neighbors noticed the family's shutters, still closed, and one of the men missing from his usual early walk. When they entered the house, they discovered 10 people hanging in a corridor and the elderly matriarch lying in another room. Many of the hanging victims had their mouths taped, ears plugged with cotton and hands bound. The family's pet dog was alive in the house. Police and forensic teams were called and the scene was sealed for investigation. The diaries and the weeks before. Investigators recovered multiple notebooks and diaries from the house, records reportedly kept for years containing repeated entries about rituals, instructions, and plans that referenced salvation, a kriya, ritual, and very specific steps for how members should act. CCTV footage from the lane and purchases traced by police suggested that preparations, ritual materials, extra stools, and binding materials had been assembled in the days leading up to the deaths. The diaries and other material became the central clue. They appeared to map out the exact positions, bindings, and sequence found at the scene. The investigation. Forensic findings and police conclusion. Forensic postmortems and the crime. Branch probe found no obvious signs of external assault. The way bodies were arranged, the bindings, and the consistency with diary instructions led police and many experts to conclude the episode was a ritualized mass suicide or a tragic ritual accident. Motivated by occult beliefs and shared delusion, Delhi police and several psychological experts discussed the possibility of a shared psychotic disorder, where one family member's delusion becomes accepted and enacted by others. At the same time, relatives and some lawyers contested the single explanation reading, proposing alternative scenarios and questioning whether all questions had been answered. Who led it? Lalit, the diaries, and contested responsibility. Much of the reporting singled out one younger male member, Lalit Chundawat, in many press accounts, as having played a central role. Family testimony, handwriting analysis reported in the media, and diary entries suggested Lalit claimed to be in contact with his deceased father's spirit and that some instructions issued to the family came via him. The crime branch at one stage treated Lalit as the main instigator whose authority over ritual practice was accepted by other family members. Other relatives disputed that narrative and raised the possibility of coercion or a staged murder. The tension between an explanation of shared delusion and an explanation of plotted violence has remained a fault line in public discussion. Psychological autopsy experts and alternative views. Beyond the immediate forensic picture, police and independent psychologists attempted a psychological autopsy, reconstructing beliefs, interpersonal dynamics, and mental health history from diaries, interviews, and behavior. Some professionals concluded the family had been caught in an escalating set of ritual practices and belief systems that normalized increasingly dangerous acts. Others pointed out that the entry-level signs of coercion, pressure, or subtle force are hard to rule out from post-hoc physical evidence alone. Relatives, particularly a brother who lived elsewhere, publicly claimed the deaths were a murder conspiracy, and some members of the public remained unconvinced that ritual or psychosis alone explained everything. Aftermath, the house and the public imagination. The Burari case reverberated far beyond the lanes of Sant Nagar. It generated intense media coverage, social media speculation, moral panic in some quarters about occult practices, and cultural productions. Most notably, the Netflix documentary House of Secrets, The Burari Deaths, 2021, that tried to piece together the human story without lapsing into voyeurism. The house itself, for months and years after, became a site of rumor and local anxiety. Debates continued about how to balance respect for victims with the public's need to understand causes and prevent similar tragedies. Why the case still matters? The Burari deaths pose hard, cross-cutting questions. How do belief systems and charismatic family authority intersect with vulnerability? When does a shared set of rituals become dangerous? How should law enforcement, mental health services, and communities intervene when people are following instructions that could harm them? Those questions remain urgent because the case sits at the crossroads of religion, family structure, poverty, education, and mental health. And because many families around the world rely on internal voices of authority that under pressure can normalize harm. If you guys enjoyed this short documentary put together, please like, share, and subscribe for more interesting untold stories. Until next time.